Now, here's your hosts, the League Dad, Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair.
Welcome to the All In Podcast. It's going to be joined by Kevin and Alistair and me, Mitchell. League Dad can't make it today because unfortunately he's too old and we don't want him here anymore. No, just kidding. We're not ageist. We're going to, go right into the action here. So LCS was a fun week, but I wanted to start off with a fun topic right before. Have you guys checked out the Arena 2v2 v2 v2 PBE game mode at all?
Yeah, I checked it out. One of my friends at Riot has actually helped develop this, so he was telling me about or asking me about his feedback. I think it's really fun. Kind of brings the fun parts about TFT into it with the buffs and stuff, but it still makes it a kind of a fun arena mode. I hope that it gets a rating system. It doesn't have to be ranked, but I hope it has a rating system, kind of like TFT Double Up.
It does, yeah. It has a rank system on it.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm bronze. Yeah.
I haven't played it, so.
Okay, but
I think
have you
you
seen
might
anything
enjoy
about
it
it
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Not really, no.
Okay, interesting.
I don't really know much about it at all.
Well, it's a 2v2. You fight 2v2 against other 2v2s, and then you go around, you get these cool little buffs, augments, one of the coolest ones, you can buy any number of mythics you want. That's fun. Or you get really gigantic, or double your attack rate. It's some crazy stuff. I found the most broken thing is actually just playing ADC and Enchanter. It's really insane if you get the OP shielding stuff. But yeah, we'll just move past it because I'm the only one who's played it. Very fun. I hope it comes out and is good and they keep improving upon it.
I played it. What are you talking about?
Oh, you did play it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why I said I was giving feedback to my friend who helped develop the mode because I've played it. It's very fun.
I thought that was just feedback, not your feedback. Okay.
Oh,
cool,
no.
Cool.
Yeah, I misspoke. It's a good mode. I think that this is probably going to be the best custom mode over Earth if they just fix some minor things. But I think the fun is definitely there.
Yeah, Earth's overrated. Bring back Darkstar.
Darkstar? I mean, they never bring back the PvE game modes, and I love those. Those are fun.
Darkstar wasn't PvE, it was the 3v3 Thresh mode.
Oh, yeah, that is right. Yeah, that's right. That was a fun one. I also missed the PvE ones too, with the Guardians and the Galaxies. Yeah, Odyssey. Guardians of the Galaxy, essentially, for League of Legends.
And the Guardians and the Galaxies.
All right, let's get into the LCS. Let's talk about it. So we are 9 games in, halfway through the season. First regular round robin is over. I want to ask you guys a quick question. Who would be your first round robin MVP? So mid-split as well, you could call it.
My mid-split MVP, without putting too much thought into it, would be Berserker. I think that Zven hasn't earned it because he's got giga-gaffed in games that they have looked bad in. I think Blabber had some brain farts throughout the split, and then Fudge looked really bad, but has gotten better throughout the split. It's only been 3 weeks. I think Berserker is just crazy. He's so consistent, and it's just hard to be it's hard to be a playmaker when your team is looking like dog when they do lose, but he's just looked pretty consistent as always. So easy answer for me.
I would say I have a hard time, even though I'm an AD carry man, I have a hard time giving it to AD carries just because I feel like the success of an AD carry is generally determined by the success of the team. It's really hard to be the most valuable player as an ADC unless you're turbo 1v9, which, you know what, Berserker does fit that, though I'm kind of leaning towards Armeo. I mean, highest kill participation in the league, not including Quid, but Quid's only played, he missed an entire week. He's always there where he needs to be. Sure, he has some bad plays, but he is where he needs to be, even if he screws it up. And I think the success of the team does go off of the fact that he's.
Yep, all fair answers. I think I'm gonna have a different one. And mine's gonna actually be River. Oh yeah, fake God coming in top lane. His name's actually Haunter this split. No, not Haunter this time. No jokes. I'm doing River from Golden Guardians. I think he's in a similar spot as Armao, where he's also in the right place at the right time. Their team is a lot messier, a lot more skirmish heavy, and they do a lot more back and forth stuff. But I feel team fighting wise, that's where I really give River the advantage. He makes plays so often that feel they work really well with Huhi. Definitely Armeo's definitely a cleaner jungler, I would say, less messy, maybe more solid game plans except against C9. But River, I feel he's a playmaker, so I enjoy that. Yeah, all good answers though from that. But let's extend this conversation, right? I think if we look at our previous expectations before the split started compared to what they are now, things are very different. But who do you guys see as your top 4 who's going to represent us at Worlds right now? Like, if we had to do a power rankings at this moment. And I know the standings might not represent that because a lot of dips and strengths for different teams, right? Notably FlyQuest and 100 Thieves and stuff like that. So who is representing us at Worlds?
I would say Cloud9 will go. I think GGS will go. And I'm a little concerned about EG in a best of 5. Like, I don't know if they're frauds yet, but they do look so legit so far. And then I want Liquid to go, obviously. But I also think that, like, I think it's literally the top 4 out of 5 right now that I just listed anyways. And I do think that they all show, like, the firepower necessary, but the lower ranked ones definitely have some consistency issues.
Man, I mean, I think EG, Golden Guardians, and Cloud9 are pretty much a shoe-in. I don't feel comfortable about 4th seed either way. Whether it's like, because right now it's Dignitas and TL. Man, Harry's a problem. I don't feel great about him, especially against international mid laners. If it comes down to it, I think I'd probably lean towards Team Liquid. Yon looks very good. Summit's not completely sprinting it like he used to. But realistically, I don't feel too comfortable about our 4th seed. I wouldn't expect much from a 4th seed, at least at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's especially interesting because this last week, these last 3 games, there was a significant uptick for FlyQuest and 100 Thieves. People who thought would be better at the beginning of the split, and now, we don't know how the rest of the splits go. So I think, like, the power rankings of the league being, what the standings are with EGC9 Golden Guardians at the top, I am curious how that's going to play out in playoffs, right? Because I do have a lot of faith in FlyQuest and 100 Thieves to, like, if they improved at this moment, I think they can keep improving later on. How much will they improve is the big question. Is it enough to overcome? Because the other teams are improving well as well, right? EG, C9, GGS. So we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, my top is definitely C9, GGS. And then I'm actually thinking EG's not going to make it, actually. And I'm actually thinking it might be like a TL FlyQuest sort of thing. I'm actually feeling like. I know FlyQuest is a controversial thing to talk about. We're probably going to talk about them right after. But they went 3-0, and they looked bad. But it's hard for me to not think that, like, they're just going to keep improving. It's not going to look great, maybe for even a couple more weeks. But it's hard for me to not think that they'll just improve to what their form is supposed to be with their players. So I think FlyQuest is actually going to be able to do it the split and at least get to 4 seed. But yeah, do you guys want to talk about them? They were one of the few teams this weekend to go 3-0. Give me your overall thoughts. You can talk about any of the games they played, their draft, and how they played their draft. I think was very interesting and different from what we've been seeing. So go ahead.
My initial thoughts are they played Liquid to a pretty close match. That first match was really back and forth. I was pretty happy with the results of both sides. I think the thing that stood out to me was that Prince actually was willing to make a play and go for it and not int. I remember a fight around Bottom Dragon where I think it was Elder Drag. He just like walked up and he basically won that fight for them almost by himself. Like obviously his teammates did set up some of it. The other thoughts I had was that Spica looks like he has his soul back in his body. He doesn't just sit at Gromp, feed a kill to the top laner, and then just like, I don't know, walk around listlessly. So this is good. So those are all good signs. I think Prince's slight uptick this week is probably due to him starting to gel with Vulcan. If they can do that more than a week in a row, like 2 to 3, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. They would be my 5th right now, right? I don't think 100 Thieves is real, but I think they would be my 5th. So I would love for them to be there because they have the international firepower we need to, like, they would be that, like, our DRX basically in 4th place. There's a lot of firepower. We have no idea if they're going to be able to show up, but like, hey, I mean, it's Worlds. The meta changes and they have the players for it.
I don't like making assumptions and guesses off of 1 week for the most part, so I don't really have much to add aside than what's already been said. I think it's good that they finally showed up and started actually playing the game, albeit a bit sloppily, but a win is a win, and sloppy games needs a good VOD review and you learn from it. So I'm hoping they continue to get better because damn, it would suck for this team to stay bad like this.
Yeah, definitely for the league. I mean, we don't want all of our best players, like seemingly like on this roster, look so bad. Like Impact Vulcan holding it down for years in LCS, being on a bad team doesn't feel right. I definitely feel like this team is on the uptick for sure. When they're saying stuff like they have a 90% win rate in scrims, I'm sure it's not that high. But to even be as confident to say that, like that means other teams aren't going to be around disputing it, right? Like they must be really good in scrims, and something is just not clicking when they get on stage. Like that speaks to me as like there is some sort of communication issue or nerves or something they ran into on stage, and it was still present in this weekend. Very slow, sloppy games, but their drafts were just like so much better that it didn't matter. And I do think this team is going to be like smart, even if they're playing bad too. So I actually do put some faith. Like the fact that they improved at all or they got it together means they're not mental boomed. And I do predict significant upticks as we get to playoffs. And even if they're lower seeded in playoffs, to be a very scary dark horse. Even if they keep struggling for the next few weeks. Like honestly, I think the roster with Song as a coach, it's too good to not be true. For them to be this bad. It'd be pretty funny if they stayed this bad though the rest of the year.
God.
So yeah. One other thing I want to mention is Vikla, right? He is a humongous inter, but I gotta say, sometimes he does have hands. Like sometimes he does stuff that I'm like, yeah, I mean this guy is definitely a Korean mid laner. He just has no brain, right? Like the way he buffers his Tristana jumps against Vi ultis, I think sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's very straightforward. They're doing it at times where like TL was making it difficult for him to buffer by like chaining it up with some other CC at the same time, or Piosik doing like a really fast Q ulti combo that's harder to buffer out of. Vikla still got it, so I was like, that's pretty impressive. That's hard to do, right? All those times. So, I mean, this team definitely has hands. That's not something that's really debatable. All right, let's move off of FlyQuest. They went 3-0. That's good for them. Let's talk about another team. I'm just going to let you talk about whatever you want. Ideally, Team Liquid. Kevin, go for it. Talk about it.
How did you know?
That'll be hard for him, to be honest.
I have just nothing to say about Team Liquid. I mean, they're just nothing to think about. I mean, guys, like, let's be real. They lost against FlyQuest, which started FlyQuest's resurgence. They don't really have a good matchup on paper against FlyQuest because TL has some of the best early games in the whole league. But, I mean, FlyQuest has that firepower, right? If everything else fails you in team coordination in lanes in early game, right, that shouldn't fail you too much unless Spica ends. The bigger concern probably to me is losing to Golden Guardians. I think that Liquid should have won this game in terms of like coming in. They should have had the momentum. They should have had the firepower. This was a Piosik looked bad. I think that Summit was okay. Harry actually played fine early. And then I once again think CoreJJ actually had a good game. I think that Renata is the only ranged character that he's shown to be like at a really high level. And that's a good thing though. Renata is broken in my mind. So honestly, they went 1-2, but it was against the 2 of the 3 hardest teams in the league. And now the part that I wanted to get to is they absolutely giga stomped C9 guys. Like they took C9 and like completely destroyed them. They just basically speed ran through them. Harry had a rare, like very good game. Like actually Harry in general has a good early games, but he's not it after that. And I just don't know if there will ever be enough experience in the world for him to get there. And Piosik is so frustrating to watch as a fan because he can be so good and he can be so stupid. Like he was giving away shutdowns through mid lane and everyone barely getting out of it. But what I want to say is that the most important thing is that CoreJJ is back. Yan is still pretty good consistently, and Summit can play both sides of the spectrum at a pretty good level. I don't want to see Nara anymore unless it gets buffed, but I think Summit isn't like an interdog either. So as long as Piosik rolls right and Harry isn't a liability, we'll be fine domestically. The things I heard was that they were also winning scrims against JDG and everyone. I think I mentioned this last week, but their early game was really good, right? So they can even do it internationally, apparently. Like they've just shown it, right, in scrims. That's something you don't usually hear elsewhere. NA teams, EU teams, we just all got giga stomped this year at MSI. Like our goal deficit at 14 was like someone put a list down. It's just like everything was negative for NAEU. So we're even this talk about us being good at early game plans and then worse at macro isn't true. It's a complete meme. So we do need teams like this to be a wild card to at least get us 1 or 2 wins out of nowhere. So I'm
Yeah.
really happy for Liquid. It's 1-2.
That was
They're
some
probably
copium right there. That was good.
I mean, they Giga Stomp Cloud9, so unless we think
Yeah.
Cloud9's bad, I want to. Oh, this to relate to this, Sven, what the hell?
yeah.
Sven's Rakan was legitimately autofilled this game.
Yep, fair enough. Any thoughts on the Team Liquid, Mr. Alistair?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say about their win against Cloud9, Cloud9 instant loss draft with Zeri mid. It's not good. Don't play it. I don't care that it went 2-0-2. It was useless. Why are you building...
I think it was the only thing keeping them in the game. What? Zeri mid this game? It was legitimately the only thing doing anything positive in the game.
Low bar, I'm going to be honest.
Okay, sure.
Low
but
bar.
Everyone else was feeding, and it still was
don't
good.
know.
To me, that's a good sign for a character.
He built Proto Belt, man.
Yeah,
that is true. That's weird. I don't know why you would go Proto Belt.
I feel like if you want to play Zeri, you just play it ADC because it just provided so much less for the team in general. I just don't. Lucian and Tristana and Akshan are the only viable mid lane AD carries. I don't like Kai'Sa's bait, Zeri's bait, Varus' bait. They're fun. They might work in solo queue. Competitively, I do not think they are viable because the thing with Zeri is Zeri's strength is getting buffed by her allies. That's what she's really good at. When you bring her mid lane, you're taking her away from someone who's going to buff her up for her early phase, which is her weakest part. Sure, it may have kept them in the game a little bit, but it's just not enough. If you want to play, I'd rather you just play Azir, something like that. It's just better for that position. Yeah, the one thing I do want to say about TL, and I will start saying some good things soon. TL needs to stop playing. They need to stop playing Ahri Vi. I'm sorry. They played it twice. It was bad both games. They got blasted by GG or Golden Guardians. I don't know. There's no world where an AD carry should be able to 1v2 Ahri Vi when they get to dive on him and he has no peel, even with red guns.
That's some good stuff right there.
That just shouldn't happen.
Business.
He used
Felios gaming.
He even used his
I just don't think
nothing.
Aphelios is a real character in this game. I still think he's fake. He's just so stupid.
He cleansed nothing. Maybe he cleansed the end of the Renata ult instantly, but like he doesn't even cleanse charm. It was just missed out of nowhere. It was I don't know. I don't know whether it's a bad combination. I don't think it is on paper, but they need to either get really good at it or stop playing it because they don't seem comfortable on it.
Well, the nice thing about it is Vi's getting nerfed to hell next patch, so we probably won't see
complaints
anymore.
from me.
Yeah.
However, I do want to say some good things rather than just flame the entire time. Yon's cracked, man. Yon, his cleanse value in some of these games on I can't remember which game he was playing Varus. He was playing so well, and especially
against
on top,
GGS. Yeah.
Was it against Golden Guardians?
Yeah, the Poppy kept flash netting him. Yeah.
Yeah, he played the game so well, and he looked like he was on the same page with Core JJ. I was very happy, watching this bot lane look like they've really been growing overall. So I think that certainly is a bright spot for them.
Yeah, I think there's some good points we have for Team Liquid. Just a couple of notes I'm gonna give. Definitely for the Vi Ahri combo, I think it's good, but it's like you have to play it really well, and everybody's been playing against it for a really long time. Like, I think it's one of those things where it gets to a point where it's actually easier to play against it since there's so much practice against it than play as it, because everyone's kind of spacing and positioning like just outside of like Ahri ulti charm distance or Vi flash Q distance or Q ulti distances from Vi, and so people are spacing very well against this combo. People are very aware of it. They know how strong it is. It's been a thing for like a year or two now, and I think that honestly all the Vi's look terrible this week. It was let through a lot. I think we just we're a little low on practice on Vi for the majority of the junglers in LCS. Like Blabber and Pioshik and a couple of the junglers got Vi, did not look good on it. And it's not like she's been changed very much since MSI, right? So I still think she's strong on this patch. But it is funny to see that trend from a lot of our top teams. For the rest of Team Liquid, though, I mean, yeah, they're improving. They're good. I do think that like their team fighting is still their main weakness. They have great early games. They have great early game plans. I think you can tell, right? like against C9 when they won. They did the classic like bot lane wins the trade, they shove it in on cannon, jungler gets level 3 dives, right? Hopefully the enemy bot lane's level 1, sometimes they just hit level 2 and then you just dive them 3v2 on the first cannon wave. That happened against C9 and then C9 did that exact thing against EG, right? So this is like League of Legends 101. I'm glad that TL pulled it off. I'm glad C9 pulled it off. But definitely, what is the enemy jungler doing, right? I think Cloud9 had like the closest counter where Vi was actually at her blue buff, ready to counter the bot dive, but he got pushed off because Vi's clear is so slow that Wukong actually got there first and was able to bully Blabber on Vi out of his jungle, and then they did the 3v2 dive bot. So a lot of these adaptations for the jungler, I think, there's a lot of counterplay if you try to force this 3v2 bot lane dive. But every team's getting it off, right? Last thing I'll note is definitely for Team Liquid. I think it's like, I don't know. I think it's time to get CoreJJ back on Engage, like just most of the time. I know he does look good on Renata, but the main problem with this team is their teamfight coordination and the engages that come from Pioshik or Summit or Harry mostly, right? I think Yeon can maybe contribute with Ashult or Varus ulti and stuff, but it's just not coordinated enough in the Dragon fights, in the Baron fights, or like in when everyone's there. I think they're good at like getting picks and playing the map and stuff, but yeah, the coordination is still lacking heavily, and that's where C9 and GGS really shine with that team fight coordination. Yeah, so I think TL is a solid team, and I think they're slated for at least a 4th place, maybe, but they have to keep it together. All right, we talked enough about Team Liquid. That was a lot. Let's go to another team. What next team do we want to talk about here? Let's just go down the standings, talk about EG, talk about how they got absolutely giga blasted by C9, but still look like a good team, right? So give your thoughts on EG.
Impressed still. Once again, for weeks upon weeks, JoJo's just good. Like, he's good. He did have a pretty bad Yone early game, but overall, like, I think he is the reason this team even works at all. I would say that game that they came back on day one, it was EG against TSM, I believe it was, where they subbed in Ruby. Yeah, I don't know how they came back from that game. Well, they didn't come back, but they just had a weak early game for a Renekton top lane, right? And then they just like completely stopped the other side. I think that EG, my concern would be that there's just not. I don't think Armeo's real. I think he's been playing really well, like you've mentioned before, but I have so little faith in this player. So we'll see. Him getting blasted by Blabber was part one of it, but we'll see. I do think Unforgiven. It's so weird that he sat on a bench and never got time last split.
Yeah, he's insane.
Like, this guy must have been smurfing, right? Every time he played in Academy or Challenger or whatever it's called now. And so how did he get away with like not being on at least one game, right? Is it just because Doublelift won't allow himself to be subbed out? I mean, Double wasn't playing badly, but they just, I don't know.
He got unlucky in EU for sure. Yeah, to not get on a main team. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think he's like the best AD carry in EU or anything, but he's at least LCS caliber. It is so weird that he was being paid to be on Challenger. That's all I have to say about them. I think that it's a great story that just this On Fire org can put together all these people who, like, I think the cast talked about it a bunch. They've just been like said they've been called crap by us, by everyone at some point in their career, multiple times. Overrated, for Ayla, for Armeo, from me, revenge from you guys, Forgiven from all of us at some point or another. When he was on, was it Mad? Yeah, Mad. I was thinking Flacked it for a second for G2, but yeah, Mad.
They got 3-0'd by EG literally last year.
He joined them. My God.
He joined them, yeah.
So I'm happy for them, but I think they're gonna, unless JoJo just like never has a bad patch, right? If JoJo's patches playoffs, then they can do it. But if they don't, Armeo will magically look like trash again, and the pumpkin carriage or whatever is just gonna turn back into a pumpkin. So we'll see.
Harsh words for the Lamau.
I mean, I can agree with that.
Did you see what he did to my team? I don't want to get
it.
I definitely agree. Armeo will struggle when he plays against people who are much better than him. I think he'll struggle more than people of a similar caliber because, like, obviously you're generally going to lose against people who are much better than you. I think Armeo will struggle more than the average person because he isn't mechanically the best. So he doesn't like realistically just go mechanics. Like he's definitely not the best jungler, but his strength is just it's like he's like Xmithy, really. Is like he's not necessarily he doesn't have the best hands, but he's always where he needs to be and he's always there for his team where he needs to be, and that's his strength. And I think that's what EG's playing around overall, and I think that's what makes them so good. That is why I named him like my MVP so far, is because he is the strength of the team being where he needs to be. Because there's so many plays that could turn bad or normally would turn bad for most players, but he's there to salvage a play and turn it around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's both. It's fair from both sides. Yeah, like that's a very good way to put it. Is you know, no hands, but all brain, big brain, right? And I think that if he ever runs into a team that has good hands and a big, decently sized brain as well, that's where he struggles. But it's good enough for LCS to be really up there. Yeah, I do want to talk about Armeo a bit more too. Just he had the chance, I think, to stop the C9 dive on bot lane. Right, it was stack the wave, get a good trade, dive 3v2 bot lane. Something we see all the time. Armeo really had a chance, but he kind of flubbed it. He full cleared his bot side and went and pathed top as his first clear. Yeah, I don't think you should do that against Kindred ever. Kindred is notorious in solo queue or pro play. 3 camp and gank, or 3 camp and invade. That's like literally what every Kindred does. Blabber did a 4 camp. I mean, it's the same deal, right? He's going for an early invade. He's never going to full clear. Blabber did do a topside clear into red buff into the dive bot, which I think is a nice adaptation for him to kind of mix things up, right? Because EG got wards down and they saw, okay, Blabber isn't in bot side. He must be pathing, like doing a weird path, right? That's not directly clear your red and then dive. So I think they got thrown off a bit by that, but like I always think you should be pathing bot lane in this meta. And I do think it was a mistake for Armao to path top lane to the Renekton Cassante lane. Like it just blew up the entire game for C9 and they just snowballed bot lane super hard. So just little simple things like that, right, could really up the level of EG. That could change things. Same thing with C9 too in their game against Team Liquid. But kudos to the other team for taking that advantage in the early jungle dive to just snowball the game out of control. EG for the rest of the members, I do think Ayla is actually pretty legit. Without the pressure around FlyQuest, without the social media dive bombing him every day and Vulcan and drama bullshit, right? Like I think Ayla is pretty good. He's pretty legit. I like what he gets done. I wonder what the comms are like. I wonder how vocal he is as a player, but definitely his mechanics and team fights and stuff is not bad. His Janna, that was not it. That was like one of the worst Janna picks ever. I don't think you pick Janna into Ashe Melio. Like that's not what you want.
I just don't think you pick Janna in the first place 99% of the time.
That's fair, right? Like I only want to see a Janna if they've got like Giga Dive, like Wukong, like Rel or something like that. Maybe you could think about Janna if you got a lot of support bands in. But yeah, not about the Janna life. Also, this Renekton stuff, man, like I don't say it's bad. I actually do think the champ is in itself is strong, but it's not necessarily a pick you can shoehorn into any draft. There are so many times where Renekton is like, I hope I'm tanky because I cannot move. Like I E forward, nothing happens, I die. Like that's how I see a lot of Renekton games go. So, you know, I think something we can think about. That's definitely for an EG and for a Cloud9 and Team Liquid to think about. They are just picking Renekton in bad spots a lot. So yeah, those are our top 3 teams right now. I think we did some pretty good coverage on them. Let's kind of lightning round it, speed up a little bit. So let's go to our next team. We talked about Team Liquid, EG, C9. So let's talk about Golden Guardians. They're solid. They're good. 3-0. I think I'll start. I'm the biggest GGS fan. I talked about River a lot. I think that they're still kind of ramping up. They're still kind of slow in the early game in that they just kind of go for plays. But their team fight coordination, their mechanics, their ability to play with each other, I mean, it's just so good. They fall behind against 100 Thieves, who has a much better draft and a much better game plan. And they just like outplay you in a team fight. And it's a bit on the enemy team for having slow old man hands. But yeah, like Golden Guardians, they're very fast paced. They're very strong. They got good hands. Yeah.
I think that I'm impressed by them. I mean, I think beating the Team Liquid was a pretty good achievement for them. I think beating the 100 Thieves It's whatever. Honestly, I'm very down on 100 Thieves still. And then the thing we have to mention is the longest game of the split. They lost to NRG, and honestly, it might have been the Ivern pick. It felt like they were oftentimes going in, and I'm like, guys, Ivern shield's up in 4 seconds, right? Like it's a 4-second shield with a 4-second duration and a 4-second cooldown, essentially, if you have enough CDR. And they just keep going in and giving him kills, or giving other people kills as Ivern baited or continue to change shield. And I was like, you guys don't know what you're doing. It's a rare for this split. Bad game from Licorice, but he rebounded. So, once again, I'm still fairly high on Licorice. I like the Rumble pick. The necessary thing was played perfectly, but, he got the job done. And I like the variety of picks that they're bringing to the table, where most other top laners are still picking Renekton. And I'm just like, I also don't think it's bad, but please, for the love of God, you need to put some thought into it when you pick these characters. I beg you.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm glad that Golden Guardians has kept their form. I've seen too many Cinderella runs, and then they just have no steam the next split.
DRX, yeah.
Well, yeah, DRX sort of, but definitely when you keep your roster and you still can't play well, even T1 right now, right? They were so good, and then once they lost to BLG, they just look lost. Apparently Faker got injured, so that might be it.
I mean, I think that sums it up pretty well. I said I didn't actually expect Golden Guardians to keep going. I've said this a few times, so I'm kind of just continuously impressed with the fact that they are still going as well as they seem to have been doing in spring. So realistically, the most I have to say is just 10. Good on them. Keep it up.
Yeah, definitely. I also think, this team is similar boat to EG-esque. They've kind of proven themselves now, but definitely a lot of downtrodden, not as impressive players that you want to root for, and they are getting their names into higher regard week after week, every win. So Huhi, I think he's just so many teams in rosters throughout the years. They lose Huhi, they don't look as good when he leaves. You never really identify that Huhi's the one doing it though, and I think this time, when he's on his engage, his rel stuff was yeah, this guy's telling people what to do in the team fights, and they're following up on his plays, and it looks good. It looks well. So yeah, I like this team. I think they're fun. I think that when playoffs comes around, they're gonna have to tighten up quite a lot, but they've shown they've been able to do it, right? So they tighten up. I think they're just a clean ass team. All right, let's move on. Who do we want to talk about? You want to talk about? Do we go around the roster? I kind of want to talk about. Let me talk about 100 Thieves. Let's talk shit about 100 Thieves. I'm down. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah. So the only time I've ever seen Quid look like he's even competitive in this league was beating up.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna say he's bad, right? He's not bad, but he's not import level. He was from the Gen G roster, sure. But it's very clear this guy's a bottom.
He's a rookie.
He's a bottom half, a little bit close to the middle, but on the lower end. What's the point? Why is he here? Why are you pairing him in a double? Do you just want someone to sit there and play a Zero AFK farm? I mean, they did pick and beat up on TSM, but are you just here to pick AFK Azir and other control mages while Doublelift gets the attention? Maybe that was the plan. But why did you import for that role then? I don't get it. Where did they find these? I guess they're just all playing the reroll game and trying to find the next
I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. I'm still firmly on the idea that they should drop Quid and get Insanity. I said last week, I think that's the move. Quid just can't stack up, and if they want to make a playoffs run and try and make it to Worlds, he's not it.
Yeah, I mean, he's still signed to TSM. He's apparently starting for week 4 for Insanity, so over Ruby. So I think that would be impossible. Also, it's they have 3 weeks left until the season's over, and then they have playoffs, right? So I don't think 100 Thieves should make any changes at all. This is what you're stuck with. This is what you got to roll with. Yeah, if you switch anybody else out, you're actually being it's doomed. You're just actually flipping a coin. So at this point, I think they're pretty stuck with their roster. I'm going to say that they are going to head towards a noticeable uptick because I just found out this is their first week they had their coach, I believe. Kane was not there for the first 2 weeks. Quid wasn't there for the first week. So they only just got their full roster this week, and they went 2-1. So could be worse, right? So I think they're going to go on an uptick. How high is that uptick? I'm not very confident. Yeah. No, I don't think it's going to be that high of an uptick. I think they're chilling at a solid, in my mind, 7th, 8th-ish power level ranking, maybe 6, depending how you rank Dignitas and stuff. but definitely like 7th, 8th ish is like where I'm feeling 100 Thieves. I think they can get to that 5th, 6th spot, maybe, right? There are chances though of like reaching like some people are saying 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even like that we were saying even or other people. I really find it hard that it's going to happen this split. It can still happen, right? We've seen Doublers do some miraculous things. Quid, as much as it hasn't been great, he's been here for literally 2 weeks, like living here. So he's actually a coin flip to me as well. Like he could be anything still. From what I've seen and from how bad he's looked to how good he's looked, like he had much more good moments this week than he did the week before. And if it keeps getting better, maybe, maybe they can do something, but the problems still lie. Closer is a monkey. Buzio, I think, is kind of irrelevant too often when he could be more relevant. He's definitely seen service. Someday is just a mixed bag. Solid laning, very mediocre team fighting, very mediocre at being involved with the team. So, yeah, it's going to be about the coaching, right? Can Kane really put it together? He's going to have to work overtime. He's going to have to do a lot of work to get some synergy down for this team because it is rough. All right, let's. What else team do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Dignitas? They're kind of fun, right? A little bit of a Lowy, some Quinn, some Rich in the top lane. What are your thoughts on Dignitas?
I'm a big fan of the Lowy pick. I hate Lowy. She's one of my least favorite characters, but I do like. I do like that I was there to beat up Cassante. I was a big fan of the idea. It wasn't like a perfect execution, but he put pressure in. I think they still lost the game though, but. I mean, I'm okay with that kind of picking. I think that Dignitas, they generally are playing well together. Tomo, I do see what you guys are talking about, where you guys were giving him a lot of praise last week. Yeah, he is pretty good so far. Jensen's, I feel like I was confused why he was on Jace. Like they were doing well with him picking like his boomer picks. Like he was picking his good old Orianna. He picked Azir, which I don't think he's known for, but he was fine on it. So I'm like, well, why Jace? Why like this, guys? But I think this team is the more favored team to be the 6th place, 5th place, whatever the variance would be team. I think they seem less fraudulent in that role. But 100 Thieves would have more firepower if they can actually get to, like, they would be scarier as a 5th. So that's what I think.
I don't know how to feel about Dig. It still feels weird to say they're like tied for 4th. It doesn't seem real, to be honest. I don't think they're gonna stay there, truthfully. I would favor a lot of teams over them. So I don't have a lot of thoughts about them because I don't know how to think about them is kind of the issue. Because I think Rich is really, really good. I think Tomo's good. I mean, obviously we've seen Jensen be good, but damn man, last split it hurts thinking back. I mean, they only changed their top laner, right? They only changed Rich.
They changed the support as well.
Did they? Who was their support last split?
It was Ignar. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got Diamond in the rough.
Okay, so fair. It's hard to tell. I mean, I think
they're a tough team. Yeah.
Well,
they're really hard to read.
If Rich goes from like not even able to get on an LPL team and like he had one good split, like, and he come in, he's probably our second best or our best top laner. What does that say about our top lane here?
Straight booty. It's Licorice versus the world.
NA's always had a problem with top laners.
Yeah,
it's always been our weakest role.
He's like looking better than Impact, even Resurgence Summit. Like, yeah, it's Licorice versus the world, right? And then we have like a second place Rich in my mind right now.
Yeah, no, Fudge is like
consistency
way down there.
Like, what is Fudge? Where is Fudge? He's on such a good team, and where is he? Anyways, I'm just worried for our teams. It's really not a good sign if Rich is one of our best because he's been tested a lot in Asia. And he was fine at best, and he only had one really.
No, hey man, you go down a road where, like, yeah, man, I've been watching a lot of LCK, LPL. We do not match up. There's no hope for Worlds. I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, I'm gonna give some straight copium when we get there in a couple weeks or whatever.
I'm gonna
for
have
sure.
Some quick amnesia when we get there.
But... Yeah. I'm gonna be like, yeah, and it seems pretty decent this year. No, it's super, as the people say, Jover. It's already Jover, and Worlds hasn't even started yet.
I mean, we need to stop importing anything that's not top laners, in my opinion. I think we've imported enough of every other role. Supports and AD carries, we're fine. We don't need more of them. Mid laners, we're fine for the most part. That would probably be second. Junglers, we're fine for the most part. Top laners are we always get smashed through top lane internationally. You want to succeed? Stop getting smashed through top lane.
Our longest lasting top lane or imports are the top laners, are they not? It's Impact and Someday have been here forever, and they've been successful for a long time too. It's kind of like the proof is in the pudding, right? Where's our other import roles that have been here forever? Huhi, I guess, but he changed roles from mid to an easy role.
But Huhi barely counts though. He never even played in like LCK. So
that is true. That is fair.
Like
Impact's
it's
a world
like
champion some days, like a
core
MVP
JJ
level top laner, core JJ. Yeah. So like I agree with you. We have roles we're good enough at, and I think it's like top, and we are trying to find the next mid laner that can actually like carry us as well. But
JoJo,
top, I agree.
Life with JoJo.
Well, that is true, but we only have one JoJo.
Yeah, we need more JoJos, right? Harry was supposed to be it. We saw very quickly he was not it.
And he's an import, guys. He just doesn't count.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I will say for the league, I think the bottom of the league has risen dramatically. I don't think our top of the league, like if this is LCS's power level, we kind of went like up like that. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like the bottom came up to meet the top a bit better. But I don't feel like the top has gotten any better. Like C9 Golden Guardians, you know, our top two from last split, like they don't look like they're doing anything crazy compared to last split, right? I think they're just they look the same.
Agree with that. I think we would beat Vitality if we're using our bottom versus their bottom.
We would destroy Vitality.
We would absolutely clobber them.
I think Dignitas would poop on that Vitality right now.
Well, that is a waste of talent. Okay, you talk about NA wasting talent. I have never seen something like Vitality.
Yo, I think FlyQuest over Vitality. If we want to go like hobos for hobos, like the bottom of the barrel super teams,
have 3 times the wins. It's not a fair comparison, man.
I'm down. I think our FlyQuest. Discount Vitality. All right. Any other team you want to talk about? I mean, I think TSM bring Insanity back. That sums that up really quickly. We don't need to go into that. Immortals looks almost the same as they did last split, just probably our 10th or 9th place team. NRG, right? They did beat Golden Guardians. That is impressive. Everything else was not that great, right? Did they beat anybody else? They lost to Dignitas and they lost to FlyQuest. So I would say a pretty rough time for NRG. They lost to 2 teams that they should not have lost to if they want to be in like that 5th, 6th place area. So their dreams of that are shattered. I don't know if their dreams of going to Worlds are gonna keep going. Right? They have to win a lot in this next 9 games. Thoughts on NRG?
I wish that they were better. I saw some pretty bad play from Ignar this week, personally. And then I think that FBI was a little uninspiring on his Kai'Sa game. I feel like I saw him jumping in and like he just does not like they won that game, sure, but I don't think he had to actually. He's not a Gala, let's tell you that.
Pun intended, I assume.
Yes, killer instinct. Good.
Yes. But yeah, when he jumped in, I was like, what was that? There was like a couple plays with like there's a reason that game went 50 minutes, okay? And it was not because he was a good Kai'Sa player. So that's a little concerning because Kai'Sa I think might survive until playoffs in terms of viability. Become one of those like if you're a bad Kai'Sa player, this is a bad meta for you.
I don't know. I just think it's kind of all over the place for them, to be honest. I was high on them. I had hopes for them. I power ranked them 4th at the beginning. Clearly, I was wrong. Kind of unfortunate because I've always been big on the CLG roster, what they're doing. So it kind of sucks, but you know it happens. Nothing lasts forever, of course. I just think
CLG.
Yeah, well, yes, that was kind of the joke I was going for. But I think I don't know. I've never been an Ignar fan. I think he's a big problem on this team, and I think that's probably where they need to look, in my opinion, if they want to do better. Next split.
Next split.
Yeah, next split. I think the split's pretty doomed, to be honest. I think
it's Jover.
I think they'll make playoffs. They'll probably be 7th or 8th, but they'll probably get first rounded. That's pretty much my expectations for them at this point.
I think it's fair too, right? I think that like for a short period of time, we could have said NRG was maybe better than 100 Thieves and FlyQuest. I think that time might be over. I think that FlyQuest and 100 Thieves are gonna surpass NRG. And NRG will be stuck at the bottom of the barrel with the Immortals and the TSMs, unfortunately. We'll see. I mean, there's still 9 games to play, and there's a whole playoffs to play, right? Top 8. My main problem with this team is, like, I think they can only play one style, and that's just, like, hard early game. like the game they won, they had Ivern because it's actual scaling. But you look at the rest of the comp, right? It's just all early game like Renekton, Jace, Kai'Sa Rell. Like they were able to bank a win off of a very OP champion that scales into the late game like crazy. But I look at the rest of the drafts, right? Jace, LeBlanc, like Wukong, like Varus, Rell, like is they got one game plan, and it's to run him over in the early game. And if it doesn't happen, like against FlyQuest, I almost kind of felt like Energy was a bit of a better team than FlyQuest, but FlyQuest's draft was just so much better scaling into the late game. Energy was not clean enough. They were not like significantly better enough to make a difference that they just got outscaled, couldn't walk into fights, couldn't team fight at all, and lost pretty handedly to a very slow, boring game against FlyQuest. So yeah, Energy's rough. Energy's rough. All right, that's the LCS teams. That's what's been cooking. How do you guys feel about the first round split? Do you guys like this like compressed 3-week format? Like I kind of like it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. Like, why are we splitting it up over 9 weeks in the first place? Like, I mean, I know why, but I just think it's more exciting this way. I like that both LEC and LCS are both just 3 games a week because there's only one day in between where I don't have anything to watch, and that's fine for me. You know, it gives me time to record the podcast or, you know, take a break. But like, I'm fine with this. I'm pretty happy with this. It sucks that the viewership's down. I actually thought that with such consistency with it airing, people would just like build it as a habit. But I think the LCS is just not getting the people that they used to get, that I used to always watch. So that's a problem, but I think that's agnostic of the format change.
I mean, it's on a Wednesday, man. Who the hell is watching LCS Wednesday at 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Us, the podcast watchers.
Yeah, that's about it, right? A little bit of All-In Podcast Discord.
Yeah,
and then
shout out our Discord. Link in the
Our
description.
Discord probably takes up like a whole integer percentage of the viewership, unfortunately, which is, I mean, you know, it's good for us, but that is a problem for LCS.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, to be fair, it's hard to watch when Latigris is still doing what. Did you see what she was doing in the last day, where she just scribbled over the entire team fight?
Oh, I hated that. I was so upset. I had it muted and it happened. I was like, what am I looking at? That actually really upset me. Okay, the other things that Latargus has done did not upset me. That did.
Like, my issue is she has strengths. Casting is not the strength. Please, like, she has a place. They can find her a good place for her. Casting is not it.
Yeah,
and
it's unfortunate.
Get the goddamn marker away from her. Keep that. Put that on the other side of the room. Please. I don't ever want to see that again. That was so painful.
I think Gabby is good at certain things, and I think she, once again, when she was interviewing someone, she's on the desk at times, like, she makes sense there. Right? Like, that's the right personality of her. But on live conditions, I feel like with under the stress, like, you can tell when someone gives her feedback, like, oh, you should like try to be more playful or whatever, and then she draws over the screen. It's like, oh, okay, maybe not like that. It just doesn't land. And I'll be honest with you, I think some of the things she does might even land if she were more beloved. Like, if she were Captain Flowers and she had the goodwill of the community, people would probably like take that and be like, oh, like, you know, I like this personality, therefore this is something I like. But like, you're walking on really thin ice when you have such a history of just subpar performances, right? And as a result, like, it's just so hard for her to rise above. Even if she gets to like an average or a slightly below average level, like, it's not going to be welcomed by people. So in my mind, like, at the very least, you know, go to Challenger and then do all the main stage roles, like everything you've already been doing, you know, like maybe be on the desks. You can even host if you want to, interview, stuff like that. There are a lot of roles that are respectable in LCS, and I just don't like Emily Rand, who has never done casting, did casting last week, I believe it was, and I honestly think she did it better.
Yeah.
And Emily's not a public speaker, you know, like, she's not known for being like super extroverted or like great at it, and she still did a better job because she at least didn't make a lot of mistakes. She said the right things, just didn't have the excitement needed as a caster, right? But even that was more enjoyable. That's the problem here.
I mean, Emily, everyone had the same issue with Emily at the beginning, right? She felt like at the beginning she felt very out of place, very unconfident in front of the camera, and she fixed that. She's much better. She's honestly enjoyable. One of the better parts of the just general like downtime, in my opinion. I think she's honestly very knowledgeable at the game as well, and I think that did also help her casting performance.
Yeah.
And like,
the community has responded as well too. Like, she's gotten, Emily Rand gets, like, I would say at least 60 to 70% positive comments in any thread, no matter like what's going on now. When she debuted, that was like the absolute opposite, right? It was like a lot of negative, sometimes pretty bad comments, you know. the targeted comments and stuff like that. But now it can turn around if you improve, right? And that's what you just need to give them space to improve. If you're always on the main stage just drowning, right? Like, how are you going to get any breathing room to try new things and like build your style? Doing it on the biggest stage is not where it's at. For like even a lot of the people they're bringing up right now, they were in academy for a while, like grinding it out.
I think, I think we made some good points. I think that, we're coming from a perspective we want LCS to be as good as possible, and we want wide representation too, which I think is why sometimes there's a bit of a focus, like, unfortunately, on the female staff that gets put in an entertainment product. Like, we want it to work. We want it to be good. So that's why we comment on it. I definitely feel like Emily has a respect for the game. She clearly likes the game and enjoys it. When you scribble all over the screen while people are watching, that just feels like you don't respect the game. You don't care. It's not the thing you're interested in. Like, you are literally drawing on top of people's names and characters, right? We're trying to watch this thing. So that really, I feel like I'm down to get somebody who clearly knows and loves and respects the game. I get that from Shox and Lori from the LEC. I get that from Kitty from the LPL. There's other people in the LCK, I'm sure. Like, they respect the game, they know the game, they love the game. I don't feel like that from LeTigris, and that's like my only comment on any person that's on the broadcast at any point in this entertainment industry. If it looks like you don't care about the game, I don't think you should be here. So yeah, there's that. Let's move on to a different topic here. Let's talk a little bit looking forward to next week. We're on a new patch 13.13. We're going to have a lot of nerfs, mainly of Aphelios. Something I want to talk about really quickly, I'm going to point this a bit to Alistair, is what are your thoughts on the Aphelios gun situation? I think it's so funny. If you guys ever tune into Sneaky and Meteos' co-stream, sometimes Cajal and LS's co-stream too, they always rage about what kind of guns Aphelios has. And he's getting some big nerfs in the next patch. Are we still going to see Aphelios next week as the most picked, like ADC pretty much? And what are your overall thoughts on the gun situation?
I need to be more specific with the gun situation, but I definitely still think he's going to be high prio. I mean, it's Aphelios. He's so good at so many different things. He's so easy to just early pick, and he fits into pretty much any team comp that isn't full dot. So I think he's very just malleable as a champ. So I think he's going to keep going, and he's overall just a lot of fun.
All right.
What do you mean more about like the gun situation? Because I know like Sneaky and Meteos often like flame the purple.
Yeah, the purple gun. I just what's your favorite combo? What's your least favorite combo? And what do you think about like? It's they kind of discussed it and came into the conclusion that you hold purple gun at low ammo, and then you enter a fight getting rid of your purple gun and you have good guns. But what is your favorite gun combo?
I mean, that's the difficult thing about Aphelios is it's very like situational, right? Like if people are walking into you, you want like white green, right? You want sniper chakra, or you might want flamethrower. Like I think favorite gun combinations it's too broad, but I mean the whole like you hold purple at low ammo is pretty accurate, just because it honestly kind of just sucks overall.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, you really only use it for a root and maybe sometimes for a chase down, and it's not like you have approach velocity or anything. So I don't think they should remove it. I think maybe something that might be worth doing would be, kind of adjusting instead of every gun having 50 ammo, maybe you adjust the amount of ammo different guns have. That could be an idea.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. I definitely think they're nerfing purple gun to the slow duration on attacks for a whole second. I definitely think like
it was wild. They have 3.5 seconds for this long.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
It's like the purple gun is like too good that it has to be bad kind of thing.
Pretty much.
At least for like situational like setup stuff, you can't really give an AOE route to an ADC, right? It's pretty strong. So I think they need to maybe take a look at the purple gun and change how good its utility and how weak the damage is. But Aphelios. Any very quick thoughts about Aphelios before we talk about other parts of the patch, Kevin?
my very quick thoughts about Aphelios is that I think the nerf is enough to bring him from like the top 2. And a lot of people don't want to play Aphelios. Like a lot of people who aren't good at Aphelios, you can tell who they are. Like they just won't want to pick it, and then this will be their excuse for that.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying names, but him and Uzi are suspiciously not good at it.
Yeah, Uzi. I mean, I'll take Uzi's Aphelios.
I
At least he's
do-
a Giga Chad.
I do want to say, I think the biggest nerf to Aphelios on this patch is the nerf to the snipe or the turret. I think that's the biggest
Oh.
hit.
The attack speed's going from 0.8 to like
Really?
0.64.
0.8 to
It's
0.64. That is
That's pretty big.
brutal.
That's insanity.
Yeah, but the healing on the Severum, like that's a lot of healing to lose in the late game. That like
It is,
most-
but you're like in late game, you're already healing so much that like, you're over healing so much that it doesn't really matter. Like you'll feel it mid game, but late game it doesn't really matter.
we'll have to see. I might contest you on that. I'm a jungler. I think of this also in the frame of media. So if you watch the coach stream, you might follow along with this logic where like I'm Ari Vi or like I'm Wukong and I jump on Aphelios' ass. It's the healing that feels like most BS to me, where I full combo him with a teammate and I get good stuff off. If he is just at a certain level too strong, he heals too much and he heals all my damage and he goes to full, right? And I get in the late game, it's like one shot or be one shot, right? But in the mid game, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I feel like the Severum nerf is gonna be a big deal in the mid game.
I agree. Mid game, it's gonna matter a lot. But late game, when you're like Bloodthirster Shield Bow, your Bloodline's fully stacked, and you have Severum up, it's like you lost 3% lifesteal, 4% lifesteal. It really doesn't matter because you're now from 44 to 40%.
But it is 15% Omnivamp, I believe, on his like pseudo Omnivamp on Aphelios' abilities. So that is quite a bit. I think for his like ulti burst. But yeah, all right, let's move away from Aphelios. That was a good conversation. Very interesting champion.
To be fair, all his abilities are auto attacks except for his purple.
Oh, okay. So the Omnivamp has weird effectiveness then.
Yeah,
I think
because like the only spell Aphelios has that
super-
isn't technically an auto attack is the impact on his ultimate, and then it comes down with an auto attack after, or you have the root. Everything else is a true auto attack. I guess you have the like impact of the Q. Everything else.
I didn't actually know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. So that is actually means that nerf is like way less impactful then.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really matter much.
Okay, gotcha. Anyways, let's.
I didn't know that either.
He has like
that's good to
27
know,
spells, and 3 of them are actual spells.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, I think that to talk about more about the patch that affects it, Varus is getting some pretty, I think, moderate adjustments that might take him out of the meta. His burst on his AP Varus W Q combo, I think, is getting lowered, and Vi is getting nerfed hard. Wukong is getting his jungle like relevancy, like he doesn't get a jungle vamp on his E. Yeah, I mean, those are static is getting largely nerfed for wave clear. Those are a bit of the changes. Any other changes that you want to talk about, or any changes that I talked about you guys want to mention about how it might affect Champ Select next week?
I would say the Rel nerfs probably affect her because she has such a priority. Base stats are always important. It might push her into jungle because I believe they were actually trying to make her better for jungle anyways. Base stats aren't as important for your clear, but they are super important. So I'm hoping to see her in jungle because they really are pushing it for it. And so at this point, like, might as well. It does suck for Liquid, but otherwise, I do like to.
I mean,
I'm
think
sure AD carries hate Rel jungle.
I think the Nico buffs or Nico nerfs are huge, especially like staying disguised with her ultimate. That's the biggest change.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
Still feel like they need to nerf the E root duration when it hits more than one target, because like 3.5 seconds is kind of insane.
Yeah,
especially
it always
for like
feels
an
like
AoE
it's a bug
spell.
when you get hit it.
Because it's a fast spell relatively for that like duration. Because like Morgana Q would last that long, but it's slow. It's easy to dodge, and it's single target. Nico, not so much.
And you can run up as a minion and then throw it out of nowhere. And
Yeah, exactly.
Then they're just screwed.
Yeah, and she has a bunch of other CC to chain with. Like, unlike Morgana, she can hit you with like her ulti or her Everfrosted chain.
If your
into
teammates
the E,
collapse to help you root it, you guys all get knocked up and stunned after. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, it's just release your diff, really.
So I think definitely Nico, we'll have to see how things go. If she's still going to be 100% pick prio, like mostly just 100% ban, like close to it, right? We'll see like what teams prioritize with Nico. I definitely think the nerf to her Q and her wave clear cooldown is a really big deal for prio. Like that's one of the reasons why she can even leave lane to become a minion and gank your ass. So that'll change too. I think these are some pretty solid nerfs that are probably going to take her away from 100%. The question is, how much will we actually see her? I think Annie got a small nerf. I think we'll still see her a lot. I think Ivern got some changes, small nerfs. I think we'll still see fringe picks of him. Yeah. Kindred did get some big nerfs, right? 30 HP and 3 armor. I think she might be donezo. That's like a shit ton of base stats she lost. Lee Sin, baby buffs, I mean. Rek'Sai, pretty solid nerfs, honestly. 40 health, 3 AD. But the ones I'm excited for, of course, Vi and Wukong. Are they gone? I just want them to be gone from the meta.
I hope so.
I think they're gone, but I've been wrong before many times about this kind of stuff.
The one.
Oh, Kevin's dead.
I would.
Yeah, let's go, Yuumi.
No, don't insult the cat like that, bro. Come on.
My bad. Sorry, guys.
That's too far. That's too far. But I think the Stormrazor and Essence Reaver buffs are interesting. I don't know how much it's going to matter. Maybe Essence Reaver might be good on Xayah. Maybe we'll see some wacky Ezreal build with Stormrazor and Essence Reaver. I actually just thought of that, so that's something I'm gonna have to probably test out in some normal games. But we'll have to see. I think the Stormrazor especially is gonna be very good for Jhin. Maybe we'll see some more Jhin. I still think the item kind of sucks though, to be honest.
Hopefully not into tanks. Please don't late pick Jhin into an Ornn or something or a Sion. Yeah. Stormrazor is interesting, right? They're putting all the scaling out and just giving it base damage. I think it's just generally better for an item like Stormrazor. Static Shiv, that's probably going to change the meta quite a bit. AP doesn't scale with the minion damage anymore. So I imagine LeBlanc is no longer going to be super high prio. I already thought she was pretty mediocre in LCS. I have seen her do some interesting stuff in other regions. Specifically in LCS, she looks like straight garbage. She is so useless with the Shiv build. Even like I think Caps got LeBlanc and he just built normal AP. He's like, fuck Shiv. Like I'm just gonna one shot him, right? So we'll see how much, like we're seeing Kai'Sa with Shiv, we're seeing Varus with Shiv, we're seeing random ass people in top lane build Shiv, Tristana, right? I think that these builds are gonna shake away just a tiny bit, but for the most part we'll still see Shiv. Any last thoughts we want to talk about? Anything we want to go over before we end this podcast?
I was gonna say I think one of Vi or Wukong will still get played because I think the Vi nerf was pretty big. I don't know if the Wukong is enough. His clear speed goes down, but like he does every Wukong does, and after 1 or 2 items, it doesn't matter anymore. So we'll see. I think that the pros have learned that they can get away with the same crap for a very long time, and I think that there might be stubborn. Like you'll like have to get completely wiped off the face of the earth by some new jungler, like. If they super buff Rek'Sai, who just like, and then she destroys Wukong, then yeah, maybe they'll stop playing it. But otherwise, I think they'll keep doing it, especially if LCK pulls it out or LPL.
I'm hyped for the Nefiri. Hopefully, we get Nefiri and we never see Wukong.
I'm terrified. I've seen some clips already. And I'm like, is this okay?
She probably won't be enabled.
She probably won't be a jungler.
No, she's supposed to be a mid laner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought she was supposed to be a jungler, and then people are
supposed to be a
jungler.
Okay, interesting. Well, I definitely think she's like kind of OP. I've been playing her a little bit in the PPE, so she's a little bit on the what the fuck is going on my screen. She's killing me from everywhere. But that's gonna do it. Unless you guys got anything, no. All right, that's gonna do it for us at the All In podcast. Some good LCS action. League Dad will be joining us at another time. We may get some additional content in the future, so look out for that. But until then, try not to be too toxic, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.